I was kind of taking things for granted, I suppose. I lived through the plane crash and was able to walk out of it. I walked out of about 2 miles of swamp because we landed in the middle of a Mississippi swamp in pine trees, tore the plane completely limb from limb. The biggest piece of garbage of the plane left is what I was strapped into, and I fought to get out of it because all I could think about was, okay, the plane's going to catch on fire. But little did I realize that when we spiraled in from 9,000 feet, that we had run out of gas.
Yeah.
We were 60 miles from Baton Rouge, and we had just left Greenville, South Carolina, where ironically the first gig I ever played with Skynyrd was in Greenville, in front of about 6,000, 5 or 6. And then the last gig that I ever played with the band was in Greenville, in front of 5 or 6,000 people, or sold out, whatever. And so we had taken on 400 gallons of fuel in Greenville, but we didn't top off the tanks. And our old pilot, who flew for Jerry Lee Lewis for 8 years, we had his plane, had told the new pilots never to trust the gauges on an old aircraft. Always take a wooden thing and stick it down in there and look at it, you know. And we were grooving, man. We had a gig to go to, had our own airplane, our name painted on the side. And, you know, we were grooving. We didn't ask questions, and that's where we made our mistake. We asked for it as much as anybody. It wasn't the pilots paid the dear price. I don't hold it against them. They screwed up badly. And they were inexperienced, and that cost the lives of some other people. But I don't hold it against them because we were just as blind. We went into the thing. We should have been more aware of our transportation situation. But we were just so thankful to have a gig to go to. I think we just were blind about it. But you know, I think I was able. God let me kind of walk out of that because out of the 26 people on the plane, 20 people survived, which was a miracle, man, because the plane was just completely torn to pieces. And I got out of the wreckage, and I looked around me, and I saw, you know, like just one thing that was needed, and that was like medical people, you know, bucker bracer bars to pull metal apart, you know, people. And I knew it, and I could see that was the only thing that was going to help, and they needed it right now. They didn't need to wait for and there was no fire, so there was no, and it was just at dark. And I saw a Coast Guard helicopter way off that had been, going down, we were sending in a mayday. And this Coast Guard chopper was in the area on its way to Baton Rouge, and it vectored toward us. And it was looking for us. It was searching. The whole time I was walking out through the swamp, there was two things going through my mind. That was to get to someplace so I could lead them back to where the wreckage was. And I, you know, I'm down here in the darkness in the swamp looking up through the canopy at this damn chopper who's hovering. He was looking, frantically looking for us, but couldn't find us because there was nothing to see. Mm-hmm. And so I got out to a field. There was a field, and I saw these cows, and I saw the cows, and I jumped the fence. You know, in the wreckage, my shoes had come off from the impact. It took us about 10 seconds to stop from about 250 miles an hour to 45-degree angle. And when I got out of the wreckage, I looked back through the trees and saw the angle that we came in, because we cut we just sliced right through it. I saw the angle, and the last thing the co-pilot says, we're headed for a highway or a field. So I knew that they were headed for civilization somewhere. So I got my bearings, and the pilot and the co-pilot are the first ones I found, and they were definitely dead. And I just yelled as loud as I could to whoever could hear me. I said, I'm going for help. I'll be back. And a couple of guys were wandering around into the crew. And I told them, I said, man, these guys are going, I can't do nothing, man. The guys were really battered. And I said, go sit down by that tree and hold your wounds, you know, and cut off your blood thing. Do a tourniquet. And a couple other guys there. And I said, I'm going. And my socks were like 6 inches over the edge of my feet. So I couldn't walk too good through the briars and brambles. And I was waiting for a snake to come up and go, I'm going to bite you. Because I was going to go,
yeah.
You know, you can't stop me now. You know? Yeah. So I found a place. I found a farmhouse. Got to the farmhouse. And the guy thought I was an escaped criminal because I was covered with blood. And he came out with his shotgun. He was protecting his family, man. You know, hippie.
Yeah.
He came out and he went, kaboom, boom, like that. And I yelled as loud as I could. I said, plane crash. And I couldn't yell too loud because my chest had been, all the cartilage in my chest had been ripped. And my chest was like off, you know, and I went, plane crash. And the guy goes, is that what that was? He yelled, is that what that was? And he threw his gun down, and he ran, and he embraced me, and I said, oh, no, and I walked in the house, and I went right to his telephone, and I dialed direct to Pat. And I said, Pat, there's been a terrible plane crash. I'm in someplace in Mississippi. There's been people killed. I don't know who yet. Don't call anybody. I'm okay. Goodbye. About that time, highway patrol cars started sliding up, and all kinds of people started coming in. And there was, hey, John. And there was about 50 cars there. They had just rehearsed for a disaster. And it was incredible. And all these people started coming up, medical people and stuff, and it was the best feeling in my life I'd ever seen when I took them back to the corner. I mean, we busted through fences and went through this whole entourage of ambulances and trucks and pickups and four-wheel drives and people, and I took them right to the point. And the highway patrolman says, now where are they? And I said, okay. I said, if you take a baseball and throw it as hard as you can about 10 times, go pick it up and throw it again. Go pick it up and throw it again. I said, you'll be right on top of them. Right there, and about 70 people just with flashlights just went right through the woods, man. It was the greatest feeling. Then they threw me in a truck and took me to the hospital. But the point of this story is that you're asking me what perspective do all these wrecks and stuff put on the thing now. I feel like I was spared for that reason. Then I got kind of cocky.